Hello everyone, it is Lisa Ann here from Hopewell Vision and Coaching. I am here with the lovely Dr. Manjit Kaur, who is going to be a speaker at our Woman Power event, which is happening on the 12th of January next year. So welcome Dr. Manjit on our Woman Power virtual tour. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you, Lisa Ann. Thank you for inviting me, and you look gorgeous this evening. Thank you so much. And it's going to be a pleasure trying to enlighten and empower women with health and well-being, because you realize this is the most important thing right now. If the mother of the household is well, the fort will run.
Yes.
And if the mother of the household is down, the children have to take charge, or the husband has to take charge.
That's right.
So it's important to have our women aware about their health and well-being.
And I think, before we get into the questions, I know we discussed a little bit last week of how important it was that women actually supported each other, because being the woman of the household, it's a 24/7 job.
Yes, more than that. I'd say 48-hour job.
48-hour job.
She's a cook, she's a referee, she's a driver, she's a mother, she's a lovely daughter, she's a lovely daughter-in-law, she's a lovely, mother-in-law, and she's a lovely grandmother-in-law. She has to change so many roles a woman has to, while men are very much in their comfort zone. Not that they don't have to become, into similar roles as in the masculinity, but still, we women, we're the powerhouses. We are in this world to ignite and to empower, and where situations are difficult, women are the ones who take fort and hold on and get together and make a unhappy situation happy.
Absolutely. And I think there's a much in that, isn't there, that we are by nature more nurturers as well, or do you think that's more stereotype?
Yes, nurturing. Yeah, I mean, that goes in the animal world as well, honey. You could look at, the lion kingdom. You could look at the elephant kingdom, how they look after their calves and their cubs, and how they nurture them and make them walk and hunt. It's amazing. And but the human race is the one that takes the longest to walk, while most, in the animal kingdom, within hours or months, they're up and walking, but not 9 months. But there's so much that a mother has to do to bring up a child and to, raise her child into the world, right from talking, speaking, eating, swallowing, crawling, walking. And it's just literally a nursery that she runs with her own passion and drive,
There's so much within that. And I think you may have answered my first question. I don't know whether there's anything you want to add to what does the phrase woman power mean to you?
Wow. To me, woman power is actually trying to get equality in life, in job, in status, even in, in parliament. If you see, there was inequality before. In 1970s, there was hardly any women. And women have become a backing in every industry. In football, there's a women coach. If you look at the flights of satellites, women are going up aboard. An Asian woman is going out. Women are in sports of every kind. And even if you look at the women demanding the same fair fee prices in tennis and, lawn tennis, as you know, a fairness really, even in football. So that's everywhere. In every field, women have been progressing, but also expecting equality and no difference in gender.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that explanation that it's really about equality, isn't it? Being on the same footing and being treated the same as. Yeah. And I think that throughout the Me Too movement, there's been a lot of movement, hasn't there, within the women moving together, I think, since a lot of the issues that have been coming up over the past year or so. So it's kind of now is a real poignant time, isn't it, for us to be banding together and trying to make a change.
Well, if you know the first Iron Lady, when she came to her chairmanship and she became the, prime minister. She was saying, the lady is not for turning, and she certainly wasn't. And
Yeah.
she stayed on to
Yeah.
reign as the prime minister for, 2 sessions.
That's right.
And became very powerful. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Dr. Manjit, I would love for you to share with us what you think your woman power is, and let us know how you use that in the world at the moment.
Well, I think mine is more of sisterhood and collaboration, trying to get women and share my beliefs and my education. If I leave it, untold or folded up in a book, that won't be generous of me. So my idea is to, bring enlightenment through diet, nutrition, at any event where women need advice, they need support. It could be drugs, it could be, domestic abuse. I've done so many television shows where women have been undermined from all kinds of walks of life and all ages. And this is where, if we don't stand and we don't become their voices and we don't hear their grievances, then, we are shunning them away and leaving them as a weaker society. Women are strong, but sometimes women have to be supported in some situations of household or in work or in, domestic bullying or drugs, or the more in the Asian community is the dowry. The demand of the dowry is so much that women are so unhappy. And then having a boy gender in the Asian community is a huge pressure. If the daughter-in-law doesn't deliver a boy, she's not one of the most favored daughter-in-laws, giving them that kind of support. So really health and vitality and vigor and all this is got to be incorporated with our women forces today. And if you see Florence Nightingale, Mother Teresa were such fine examples of bringing charity from their heart out, and telling us that they are carers and they cared. First World War, Second World War, women were the finest examples of going out, farming and doing everything that men were doing while the men were away, at the war zones. They were knitting, they were farming, they were doing, creating enough crops so there wasn't starvation. And they held the forces, they held the fort. So these are the women who empower us. They give us examples that, when it's the downness of time, that's when we need to pick ourselves up and keep up and lighten each other. Yeah,
I can so resonate with that, because my grandmother was from the Caribbean, and usually and culturally it's quite similar, that the husband comes over to a new country, he finds work, sends money home, and the whole family comes. So it was very similar that my nan did exactly what you just said. She didn't knit, but she sewed her own clothes and she sold them at the market. She farmed her own food and root vegetables and sold them at the market. So she was holding the fort while he was away and getting that money to prepare the family to come over.
Wow.
And it's so true that we actually do the same thing a man would do. So whilst her husband was at home, he would have done all of those things apart from something. So it's so interesting that you say that actually we do the exact same things that they do, and we actually hold it together when they're away, really at quite a vulnerable time.
Yeah,
it's really interesting having that conversation, because we've all got stories of our grandmothers and our great grandmothers and our ancestors and all the work that they've done. And as you mentioned, from the First World War, the Second World War, it carries right through. It just hasn't changed.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't changed. Hasn't changed anywhere in any kind of you can see that if there was a war in China, the women took over. If there's a war in Japan, the women took over. If there's a war in France, the women took over. So it's really across the globe. It's across the spectrum.
It is. Yeah. It is. And it's important that all of us remember as women that we all carry that little piece of history with us.
Exactly. Yeah. Sure. Yes. History can never be forgotten. We must salute each and every man or woman as well who took part, and we are what we are because of them. because they gave their lives,
Mm.
because they fought bravely, fearlessly, and went to such extremes of temperatures where some of these soldiers absolutely from other countries had got no benefits to fight, but they were just supporting the Commonwealth nation.
Yeah.
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 And that's where women took a huge toll in taking over household duties.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much, Dr. Manjit. Thank you for that. I would love for you to share more about what you do, your job, what you do with women. I know you work with men also sometimes, but just to give everyone a bit of a flavour of what you do. And then if
Yeah.
you could tell us a little snippet of what you'll be talking about at the Woman Power Summit. So just for anyone that's just tuned in, the Woman Power Summit is taking place on Saturday, the 12th of January 2019 at the Birmingham prestigious Council House, a beautiful, beautiful venue.
I have to see that. You've given me wonderful feedback about that venue.
Oh, it's so beautiful. So if you want to
Yeah.
come in, it's a piece of history as well. Please
Wow.
come along and see Dr. Manjit speak. So she's going to give you a little snippet now of what she's going to be speaking about, and if you'll have any offers and things like that. So over to you.
Yeah. Lisa, thank you so much. My passion has always been health, nutrition, diet, and well-being. And how do you, combat illnesses or through diet and nutrition when we have so many herbs which are in our kitchen, larders that we don't use. The first one was obviously when I went and I dared at, if you know the Born Free movie at Elsa's Lodge. If you've ever seen the Born Free movie, that was a lioness that was raised by Mr. and Mrs. Adamson. And from there, I went to see the place, and it was so daring, and it made me feel so, small to say, my God, these people went to such extreme to raise a lioness, and, they gave up everything from back home. And charity started from their heart, and I do the same. A lot of my charities that I've done and won the Sikh Sevadar Award in the decade, this has always been close to women, and every charity I've picked up, I've done it for the women. Where globally then the men in that tribe have been helped as well. So looking at their health, incorporating that, then going out and studying colon hydrotherapy after having experienced a little bit in my own life, I realized there was something more to life than allopathic drugs. And I then went out to naturopathy and all alternative medicine. And from there, I carried on studying to acupuncture, to LED light therapy, to nutrition, to diet, different Ayurveda herb extracts, massages, but always trying to advise women how during their time of illness, what changes they need to make. And if they make that choice, there's a chance, a bigger chance of recovery than living on allopathic drugs. We are such a complex gender because our hormones are more complex than men. That's for sure. We have our 40 crisis, we do have our 50 crisis, and we do have our 60 crisis. With men, they're saying, yes, men do menopause as well, and men do have 50 or 60 crisis. We have yet to find out a lot more. Whether men do have kind of menopause symptoms, we don't know. But then, as a mother, woman is childbearing, there's so many hormones that go, tipsy-turvy in a system that need to be rebalanced. And one of the biggest ones, obviously, is depression in women, which is postnatal or, during pregnancy, women are ending up with depression, and they sometimes never know for years that they're depressed. And then really their self-care and their self-belief in, if a mother is aware about food and nutrition, she'll surely make sure that her children have a very good balanced diet. There's so much in industry right now, Lisa, and that is disillusioning us and conditioning us what we should eat and not eat, And I don't think there's a lot of justice done in advertisement on television, media, when they are advertising that and making our children so sedentary lifestyle that, obesity in children is very, very high, and especially with cholesterol, diabetes, blood pressure. This is going to be, we are crippling the NHS system And I think if we try to take heed of our own health and well-being, then this won't be a situation where hospital beds would be full, you know. So my aim is to bring information, to enlighten, to tell people what they can do through some natural basic remedies, but what to look out, what are the signs of these things. And when they make, take that chance and they take the choice, they are certainly, the body can change back and reflect back to healing state. So I'll be talking about that, sharing how a situation or a state of the mind balance, and how food and nutrition and supplements and sleep, all these actually, which is my 5 framework, actually help to bring back the body into good recovery state. I mean, you're the finest example. I mean, if I look at you, I need to salute you in your own, household, your care and your feelings for your family. I really got to bow down to you. You're magical. You're so positive to your family that is helping anybody. Your perception and positivity would help anybody to recover in any kind of ill health, you know. So yeah, I think the moment we met, we gelled, and there was something magnetism about us.
Yeah.
That, we are still about 10 feet away, but we got our arms wide open
Yes.
and we're ready to
That's so true.
and hug each other, you know. It's just amazing. Yeah, really, really good. And that's the great thing about women. We see the goodness in everybody, you know, never try to judge the book by its cover. And there's something good in everybody. There may be some weaknesses, but never laugh at them and never fault them, you know, because tomorrow, as they say, never judge the book by its cover. You don't know tomorrow how great that same woman would be. Yeah. So if you look at the broad spectrum, look at everybody in humanity, in the eyes of humanity, there's God in everybody's soul. Yeah. Absolutely. And kindness and generosity and our charitable deeds should carry on. Whatever we can do, wherever we can do, we must take active part. Yeah.
Well, there you have it, everyone. You have heard Dr. Manjit speak. I could sit and talk to you for ages, but you will get to hear more of Dr. Manjit at the Woman Power Summit event. So we have some Thanksgiving tickets on the Eventbrite site, so I will make sure I'll pop that link in the post. Otherwise, thank you very much, Dr. Manjit.
Lovely. It's been a pleasure. It'll be absolute pleasure to catch up with you on the 12th of January. For those of you who haven't booked, you really need to come and support this amazing Hope Vision, summit. I love the words. They are so appropriate with exactly what is in your heart as well, and what you practice, and how you are actually resonating those words, and helping us as well to join you in this mission of bringing goodness to the women. I'm sure this is open for men as well, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. If men want to come along, I've had quite a few ask, and they're like, surely I can't come. And I said, absolutely you can come.
Yes.
Why not? Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. So a lot of women's health magazines are actually read by men. It has been predicted that more men read women's magazines than women themselves.
Oh, that's interesting.
Interesting. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. That's a new fun fact for me.
The health column is the most highly read column by men than women. Men.
Well, there you have it. That's something new to learn today. I like it. That's great. Well, thank you very much for joining us. I cannot wait to see you and hear you speak at the event next year. So I'm really excited for that. So God bless.
It looks far away, but it's around the corner, isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
And you see the stores are every store. I just had to rush out to the high street for something that was actually not my choice, but because so many places, banks have become like cash point machines. There's no cashier at desk, so I had to rush out, and I saw all the glitz and the glam, and I thought, wow, it's here.
It's all here. Christmas is on its way, isn't it?
It certainly is. Yeah. With the weather being a bit grim, I think we have both been very cheerful. Thank you for giving me that opportunity and sharing my beliefs. And I hope that we can empower and benefit, the most beautiful attendants who will be there to support you and your future summits as well. And I wish you a lot of luck and health and well-being, and keep smiling.
Will do. God bless. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, darling. God bless you. Thank you for having me tonight.
Oh, absolutely. I'll see you soon.
Thank you, honey.